the Cat and Moose podcast. I'm Cat.
And I'm Moose. This is a true life podcast where we explore the quirks of being human. Hey, Cat.
Hey, Moose.
Happy Sunday. But our listeners, it's Monday.
And that's if they listen right away. Okay, so we don't normally record in the morning.
Just a little orange juice to get our vitamin
C. Just a little orange juice. Yeah, just a little orange juice. Yeah. So this morning I proposed, since we've got to record so early, because we've had travels and work and stuff this week, I was like, let's at least have mimosas. So cheers, you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I hate the sound of swallowing. Oh, that sounded terrible.
I think it does sound terrible. It should just be like the of a champagne bottle.
Oh, totally. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're recording the day before this goes to air. I'd like to thank you guys for your hospitality. So this week my sister had surgery, and that's why we're recording late. I was with her where she lives, and now she's back in this home of mine, hopefully doing well downstairs. So thank you guys for recording late. But I wanted to start this episode with something that I thought was really interesting that happened this week.
Okay.
So for the patrons, I'm going to share my screen here.
This is some fancy technology, by the way. I'm very impressed with you, Moose.
Oh, thank you. Okay, let me make sure I have the right thing pulled up. So this caught my eye this week as I was scrolling through the Instagram. I'm really faster than this. It's technology. Okay, so did you see this?
Oh my word, what is that? Oh my gosh, wild catch. This fish with several rows of human-like teeth was caught in North Carolina, but it's now taking a bite out of the internet, quickly going viral for its shocking dental anatomy. Is that Photoshopped?
No, it's not Photoshopped. So now that you know that, I need you to really look at this.
Yeah, for our listeners who aren't watching this, it's probably really boring. So what I'm looking at is I'm looking at what looks like maybe a horse, but then I understand it's a fish. It looks kind of slimy and scaly like fish do, and this has to be photoshopped. This can't be real. Like,
it's actually not
human. It's photoshopped.
It's not photoshopped, and that's why I want you to take this in. So we will post this on Instagram. Our patrons can see this live. So apparently it's a sheep head fish, which I've never heard of. And apparently it's good eating, as someone posted. But this is actually normal. This is like something that exists. It's not like too much radiation. And this fish has a mouth full of teeth.
Mm-mm.
Like
I don't.
A few snaggle tooths, like the teeth aren't even straight. But I mean, it's human-sized teeth.
Yeah, this is not real.
And
it's real.
It looks like these teeth are like going all the way back underneath the tongue. Like there's rows of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I see that. And that is just, I don't believe it. Just because it's on the internet does not mean it's real.
It's real.
Very
Everyone is posting about it. It is real.
Can you look up other versions of this fish? That's what
I did. Do you have it?
Well, there are people posting that Trump's being reinstated this week, and that's not real. So I just don't know that I believe. This is very disturbing, and I'd also like to bring up that I can't unsee that.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
that's why I needed to share it with our listeners.
Yeah, and for those of you who are listening and not watching the Zoom and not looking at our Instagram, just spare yourself, man. Like,
pay $5 and become a patron.
Don't just go look it up yourself for free on the internet.
Do not do that. The only place, this is a Cat and Moose exclusive. If you want to see fish with teeth, patreon.com/Cat and Moose and become a patron.
I mean, you are the salesman of the century, Moose.
Thanks.
So, hey, let's talk about what we're doing with our Patreon funds.
Oh, with our listeners. Okay. There's a new pair of Nike Air Max that I want to get. Is that an option?
Don't you have a friend who can get you those for free?
For half price, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I think you should do that with your own money, not with our Patreon money. Well, we've talked about how we use a wonderful platform called Buzzsprout. And Buzzsprout is basically what we do is we record our podcast and we put the WAV file of it up into this program called Buzzsprout. And it's the thing that allows it to go out to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you listen to podcasts. So we use some of our patronage money for things like Buzzsprout. We also have Grasshopper. That's the app that allows you to call us at 1-866-KATM-005 or text us. Thank you, Tori, for pulling over a couple of weeks ago and doing exactly as we requested and texting us right away. So you can put this number in your phone, 1-866-KATM-005, and you can be in touch with us anytime. So it's things like that our Patreon funds go to. So thank you guys so much. And we're also determining, there are things like Dropbox and Google Drive and things like that we utilize the podcast for. Audition is the program that we use to record the podcast. And so thank you guys for allowing us the ability to utilize cool technology to do the Cat and Moose podcast.
And eventually we'll use the funds once we get through this 10-year pandemic to do some fun things where we're in person with patrons.
And I'm still waiting for that one-time donation of $500 so we can get a tattoo together, because I really think I'm getting closer and closer to what I want my tattoo to be.
Oh, do you want to talk about it?
Well, yeah, I would. I'd love to talk about it, actually.
Okay, what are you thinking?
Well, I have this conundrum that I'm dealing with right now, and this will circle back around to the tattoo thing. But we've talked about me doing a tattoo here on my arm, like our friend Abby has, that I just think is so cool, and Sarah has one there as well.
Is Sarah's cool?
Oh, Sarah's is way cool. Yeah. No, I'm just acknowledging, like, we know people that have tattoos there. And I've thought about the Maggie Rogers quote from her song Back in My Body. I found myself when I was going everywhere. Like, that's kind of a lyric of that song that I really like. And at the same time, it's like, it makes it sound like I'm a scattered, aimless blonde. And I don't want to sound like that either. So anyway, in my massage studio, I have begun putting the finishing touches on the artwork in there. And I decided to hand paint this giant replica of Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. So you've seen this thing, right, Moose?
Yes.
It's the man that's standing with his arms stretched out and then his arms diagonally. And then there's a circle and a square. And it's seen a lot in, like, medical offices. Like you were saying, your dad, who's a chiropractor, used to have that piece of art in his office as well.
Yep.
So anyway,
I will say, though, that when I went home to see my sister, she had just pulled out his sign and this Venturian Man that he had in his office. So it was actually inside of her condo. And thankfully, in this one, he had a robe draped over his private parts, which yours did not have.
Right. And that's the conundrum that I have, because basically, like, I painted him to be anatomically representative of the original piece of art, which
wait. Let's start by saying you had, like, a stencil. So it's not like you're in there hand painting his genitals.
Oh, okay. Thank you for pointing out that I cheated. That's awesome. Thanks.
Oh, I don't think that's a cheat, Kat. I'm just glad that you're not in there, getting the sizes wrong of different body parts.
That's great perspective, Moose.
I don't think that's a cheat. I think that's the right way to do it.
Or else those balls might be way bigger or way smaller than they're supposed to be. And, don't want to insult our male listeners. So anyway, so I painted this thing on my wall. We'll put a picture of it on Instagram. And basically what I realized is if you're laying on the massage table face down, which is prone, I think, if I remember right. If you're laying down like that and basically your massage is over and the therapist is like, you might consider reacquainting with the table and reacquainting with the room and then slowly getting off the table, blah, blah, blah. What's going to happen is that person is going to look up. And as the person on the table looks up, the thing right in front of their face on that wall is a giant set of balls.
Venturian balls.
Vitruvian balls. So
excuse me.
I did some research on this, and Vitruvius was a Italian architect that Da Vinci was really fascinated with. And so what is speculated is that this drawing is much more than like, hey, this is the anatomy of the human body. It basically talks about squaring the circle. So if you have a square and a circle in the same place, like they actually don't have the same collective area, if you will. And it also talks about like the difference between your soul and your body. So like kind of body, mind, spirit, where it's basically, if you look at it geometrically, this drawing really points to two areas. It points to the navel, and the navel is in some instances called like the seat of the soul. And the thing that happens, one of the first thing that happens when you form as a fetus is the umbilical cord, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, the beginning of life for you is at your navel, which makes total sense. Like I was like, well, how come I've never thought of that
I
before?
haven't either. That's so cool.
Yeah. And so, and then the other thing that's very important to the human species, according to, all this mathematical stuff or whatever, is the groin, because we're here to reproduce, says some people.
I was going to say, I don't think that's why we're here, is to reproduce.
Well, I personally don't either. I think that is, maybe the origination of our species though. I think,
I agree.
I'm not saying we're quote unquote supposed to reproduce. I just think that that's kind of how we evolved.
I think we're supposed to do the act that creates reproduction often. Just
that's fantastic. I wish I got to do it more.
Make that a tattoo.
The act of reproduction right here on my arm. That's fantastic. Anyway, I'm going on and on too much. All of that to say is, in my study of this, I've talked to several people, and a few people have given me ideas of how to maybe minimize the trauma of the balls in the face with the Vitruvian man. And a lot of people have talked about like adding like geometric things.
Oh, that's cool.
To it. So, because there's all kinds of mathematical cool stuff that's involved in this drawing. Anyway, all of that to say, I've considered having a sex neutral Vitruvian person as my tattoo.
Oh, I love that. I love the idea. Are you going to put it on your back?
Mm-mm.
Where are you going to put it?
Mm-mm.
On your navel?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how big I want it to be. I don't know where I want to put it, but I'm very, very fascinated with this image. And I was talking to my bodywork therapist about it this week, just kind of trying to go, hey, we're both people who do body work. You're way more experienced than me. And if you're in my studio and you have this conundrum, like, what would you do? And immediately she brought up the whole angles thing. She's like, I feel like I've seen like, pictures of angles and the importance of geometry and all that. And so, so all of that to say is, I don't know. I just know that this has become like a recent obsession. And the more you go down the rabbit hole of what this drawing and what, anatomically it means and what it means from a mathematical standpoint, it is fascinating. Do you remember us talking a while back about the Fibonacci spirals?
Yes.
That also is a part of this. Like if you start the spiral at the navel of the man, it's like the coolest thing. I'm so dorked out about it.
Okay, so as a fellow feminist, why wouldn't you make it a Fibonacci woman?
Well, I thought about doing that, and I'm not saying I won't.
Well, okay, here's another thought for the tattoo. Is you could place him on your abdomen just so that his navel is your navel.
Mm.
And then his downtown parts are your downtown parts.
So you're saying basically a life-size tattoo?
I mean, it's an idea. And that way you don't have to have his junk on your body. You just be repurposing your own junk.
My own junk will be my junk.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic idea, Moose. I love it.
Not all ideas are good ideas, but it's an idea.
I love it. Okay, so we're talking about the Vitruvian Man. We're talking about bodies and proportions of bodies and stuff like that. Will you tell us about our listener who wrote in about listening to our bodies in this season?
Oh, absolutely. Let me pull it up real quick. So, sometimes people leave their name. I have an idea who this is, but I don't know for sure. So we're going to keep it anonymous just in case. But they wrote in and said this: "Hey, Kat, Moose, and Sarah. In response to Moose's comments about liking change and yet having problems existing outside of COVID, I'd like to offer another perspective. Our bodies are constantly communicating to us, and sometimes what we interpret to be the irrational fear is actually rational protection." I love this. "As much as we'd like it to be, this pandemic isn't over. The Delta variant is spreading fast, and although the vaccinations prevent serious illness in most cases, vaccinated people likely carry the same viral load as unvaccinated people when infected. We still have a ways to go, so maybe your intuition has been picking up on legitimate vibes that are guiding you to be cautious. Either way, let's all pause, take a breath, connect with our bodies, and ask what they are telling us in this moment, knowing that they are working consistently to keep us safe. Love you all. Stay safe and true to yourselves." I thought that was I felt so seen, because we joked about how that was one of our irrational fears, but I love that actually that's not, I like to take things funny all the time, but the reality is that is an actual rational fear. My body is telling me, actually, hold up. There's a reason why you're feeling this way.
Right. I really loved that perspective as well. And I love how you said it made you feel seen. That I was having a hard time describing how that message made me feel. And that's a great description of it. Like, I feel like I am not crazy. Like,
yeah.
Well, I am a little crazy, but like, this person is validating the fact that my body has wisdom that it's sharing with me. And like that alone, like how often do we really think about, okay, like listening to my body and what is my body saying to me? Like it really is something that I think the majority of people don't spend enough time doing. So thank you for writing in. And we think we know who you are, and we're not 100% sure. But thank you for writing in, and please write in again. And thank you for your perspective. We all three feel so seen.
I love our listeners for this reason, because we have said from day one, we are not experts. And I can't think of a thing I'm an expert in, to be honest, outside of going to counseling at least once a week. But it's like, this is how we learn, is like, this is the community that we were hoping to build when we started this podcast, and we had no idea what was to come, but it's pretty exciting to see people sharing and encouraging us as well.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice feeling like, oh, we're doing a thing where we're, enjoying our time together as friends, and also, trying to encourage and talk about things that people care about, and having that like reflected back to us. It's like, what a cool feeling.
I totally agree. Can I tell you what happened this week with my therapist?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was about 4 hours away from Nashville helping my sister out, and she was in the hospital for a few days after surgery. And so I'm still doing Zooms with my therapist. Are you in person yet?
This week is the first week that I saw my therapist in person in 18 months.
Yeah. It's been that long for me and mine. So I only saw my therapist a few times, which I'm glad we did. Before we went to Zoom, but this was the first time I've been in like a different location for my Zoom. And I found it so uncomfortable. Like, I was at my sister's house, and I just have my routines that I normally do, and I it's interesting to notice how many routines I have. But anyway, so I was already like uncomfortable, being in a new place and like all of that. And the lighting wasn't good and all the shit you care about that
right.
isn't worth caring about.
Yeah.
But anyway, I get on with her, And first of all, I have to tell you about my sister's cat before I go into the deep stuff. So
I don't think I even knew your sister had a cat.
oh, yeah. So this cat came into her life and my mother's life when she was alive, like 10 years ago or so. And she was like a stray they found outside of the condo that my mom used to live in, my sister owns now. And this cat was a kitten. So of course it's cute. You know what I mean? And like, let me say at the beginning, I am a cat person. I'm a dog person. I love animals. But this cat is the kind of cat that gives cats a bad name.
Oh, no.
You know how people are like, oh, I hate cats. Like, this is why they hate cats. Okay.
Yeah.
So my sister calls her Lucy. I call her Lucifer. And I get on the Zoom, and no joke, like she and I stay very separately. Like I was staying in my sister's bedroom and I shut the door because what happens is she like sort of tries to curl up to me. She does like the weaving in and out of your legs. Mm-hmm. But then the minute you think, oh, it's the right time to pet her, she will fully attack you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Sarah has experienced this. So I'm not the only one. She doesn't do it to my sister, but she did it to my mom when she was alive. So I just avoid this animal because she's just not a big fan of mine. Anyway, I get on my Zoom and she just steps right into the computer. And so I'm already not feeling comfortable with where I am. And,
right.
I looked a mess because it was the morning and all the things. And anyway, she steps into the computer frame like this, right? So she's covering the camera. You can't even see me. And I told my therapist, I was like, hey, just so you know, you're probably noticing from my face, like I'm scared to death of this cat. So I need you just to give me a second. So my therapist is dying laughing. Like she is laughing her ass off because I'm legitimately afraid. I mean, this cat will full on attack you. Like Sarah, you have experienced this.
Yeah. Oh,
turn on your mic.
Yeah. Sorry. I am here to say I went there to help. So I don't remember why I was there with you guys, but I was there for something to help. And I feel like I am very attuned to animals and I like, especially animals that are smaller than me. I'm afraid of anything bigger than me. I don't know if that's a common fear, but my first experience with her, she like nuzzled up to me and let me rub her behind her ears and all of that. And both you and your sister were like, oh my God, I can't believe she's so nice. And then the next day, I was by myself in the house and I go to approach her again. She lures me in with the like purring.
That's what she does because she's Lucifer.
And then she just turned on me and scratched the F out of my hands.
Yeah, this
like
isn't
blood.
Just like a swing. No, this is I want to draw blood from you. Yeah, it's a full attack.
I'm kind of in love with this animal. I need to meet Lucifer.
It's interesting.
She's evil. So, anyway, so she gets in front of the camera to the point that I spend the first 10 minutes of my counseling appointment trying to get the cat outside so that I can feel safe to do my appointment. So I finally get her out there. I'll tell the rest of that story later. But the point I wanted to tell, or I needed you to know, because eventually I'm going to tell you what this cat did to me. But I'm in my therapy appointment. And it was so freaking interesting because my therapist said like the magic words that every person wants their therapist to say to them.
Oh, what are they?
Okay, so she had me doing this visualization where I'm talking to the manager in my life. And so for those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, like some people could call that the critic, but this one in particular is the one that's trying to manage. Like for me, I think it's a lot of my mom's voice. And so it's more like, I'm concerned for you. Are you sure you're doing the right thing? You know, this manager is very adverse to change in my life. Okay. So I was talking to the manager and I was trying to find a new job for this manager. Right.
Oh,
so that's kind of what therapists will do is they'll say, well, this is why they'll help you like land on like, this is why this person is managing you. Let's figure out why they're doing that. And for me, it was about security, which I think it was a lot of my mom, like I said. So I was trying to find a new job for this person. And out of this comes this idea and this new project that I could give this manager like a new job.
I cannot wait to hear this. This like has me on the edge of my seat, just so you know.
So, so I say, like, I'm in the visualization. And so my therapist is asking this manager, not me, like, is there anything else you could be doing in Moose's life? And, you know, I bring up, actually, yeah, you could be in charge of this new thing that Moose wants to go and do. And I could tell like she paused. And so I like opened my eyes to like make sure I'm doing the right thing. Because that's all therapy is about, is doing the right thing. So they are proud of you. And she said, not that you're asking my advice, but I love that idea. And it just came out organically. I mean, it's something I've been thinking and ruminating on for a while. And I was like, oh, hey, manager, that's being critical. You can actually be in charge of this. And it's sort of a structured thing that this manager could be in charge of. And she just, I mean, it was her energy changed. And it was like I can't even describe it. It was magical. Like it was like the yellow brick road came out in front of me. And she was like, I love that idea. I'm not ready to say what it is yet. I'll tell you in person. But
okay.
But I wanted to be like, that's the only reason I'm even here, is for you to tell me what to do. So yes, I am looking for your advice, because she was like, you're not looking for my advice, but I love that idea. And all of a sudden I felt like I have your approval, which is so jacked up. Like I'm recognizing how jacked up this is, that I'm an adult and I want this other adult's approval. But it was less about approval and more like, you freaking know me. Like I have been with you for over a year. You know all my shit, and the look on your face means you think I can go do this. You know what I mean? Like, and it just was interesting to notice that, because I know that. And here's the deal. Like, I don't have any weird relationship with my therapist, but you know, outside of you and Sarah and, you know, a couple other friends, Megan and Ruthie and a handful of people, it's like, this person knows me and like, probably, well, for sure, has seen me cry more than you guys have. And to have them like, it would just be like you or Sarah or Meg or Ruthie or whatever, just like cheering me on to something, you know? Anyway, it's very rare that I like am vulnerable enough to recognize how much that meant to me, but it did. And so it just felt like amazing to come to a conclusion and have someone who knows me really well, you know, kind of, I could see her get emotional when I landed on an idea, you know, and it was just like, man, thank you, Jesus, for our therapists, because I don't know where I would be very lost if I didn't have that structure in my life every week or every other week, you know?
Well, and it's kind of cool to me that when we started the podcast, like, I think you hadn't quite started going back to therapy yet, right?
No, my therapist, I helped her retire. And then I think right around when it was before COVID, it was. So we were doing the podcast for a couple months before I did go back, because I got to see her a couple times before COVID really broke out, you know?
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm saying is that I just am reflecting on, you know, the years of our friendship and how both of us and Sarah too have just kind of dipped in and out of the therapeutic process. And I feel like this time around feels really, really rich. Like for all of us collectively. This week, my therapist, like I said, it was the first time that I got to be in person with her in 18 months. And she has also moved her practice and all of the people who are a part of her practice into a new location that's a little bit closer to my house, which is really cool. And so when I got to see her in person this week, I was also seeing her in a brand new location that I had never been to before.
Oh yeah. Cause my therapist was a part of that original location. So I'm following you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have moved. And so I first of all, I'd have this awkward interaction with my therapist where she was wearing a mask and I wasn't, because I just didn't know, like there wasn't like a, hey, this is the protocol. And so I was like, oh shit, like I screwed up already and I'm seeing you for the first time in 18 months. And that felt weird. And so anyway, after I got through all of that, I just I told her, I said, you know, I feel like I am willing to pay the amount of money that I pay to just sit here in your presence for 45 minutes. Like, I don't even necessarily need to talk as much as I just would like to get used to what it feels like to be with you in person again. And then also like trying to feel, you know, how is it in this new space? And I'm looking at the different, you know, certificates on the wall and artwork and stuff like that. And she was telling me about this one piece of artwork who was done by someone that we know mutually who is in the bodywork community. And she was talking about how this person and their partner are really, really, really amazing people. Like how they are some of the most special therapist, counselor, bodywork people that any of us have ever met. And I said to my therapist, I said, I hope that that's my reputation when I grow up. And this is what my therapist said to me. She goes, Kat, I already feel that way about you. Mm-hmm. She's like, I think you're a really cool person. I think you're really, really a rich person. And I have to imagine, even though I haven't experienced bodywork with you, that you're an amazing bodywork professional. And I about fell out of the damn chair.
Oh, I know.
You know, and it's like, why is that so meaningful?
It's like we become 10 years old again.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, we need, like, that's when I just want to like crawl up in a chair with them, put a blanket over me and take a nap on their breast. Just one breast.
I'm not going to take it that far. That was not my inclination.
Well, I'm not doing anything except laying my head on the area, just so you know. Not the area. Hold on. The chest. Okay. This is not going well. Again, I'm a child, if that helps.
For the record, that is not my experience. That is your
I haven't seen many
experience.
therapists. It's like psychotherapy, cuddling, cuddle puddles. Like, no, it's not in their credentials.
Oh my gosh, this has gone way off the rails way too fast. When you say like area, it makes me think, do you know what a holler is?
A holler?
A holler.
Well, that's a southern saying, so let me try and guess. I'm going to guess the holler has something to do with the land. I think the holler is like a canyon.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. I'm just guessing.
No, it really is.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Yeah, I would love to use it in a sentence. It kind of makes me feel like...
you are the one from Alabama. Give it to us. I know you're
Virginia,
not from Alabama. You grew up in Virginia / DC. I get it, but you did live there.
Yeah, I did live in Alabama. That's where I went to college, and those are formidable years for sure. So we're going to drive up through the holler on our way up to a new plot of lakeside property I'm looking at.
Oh, we're going to drive up the holler.
We're going to drive up through the holler.
So the holler is, what is it exactly?
Well, it's basically like the valley between mountains. So it's like, you know, you mentioned parts and it made me think of like that shape.
Oh,
so it made me think of the holler.
Okay. If you're not a patron, let me share the shape she's speaking of. It's the shape from a man's hips down to his
area. Yeah. And so basically this weekend I drove through a holler to try to get up to this piece of property. And what I observed was a lot of like, there were trailers, there were very, kind of worn down homes. There were clotheslines, like with clothes out to dry. There were chickens running around. Like it's just a very like, very familial, very,
Appalachian.
Yeah. You know, Ozark, Appalachian, like that type thing. Yeah. And so anyway, so I did a little research on it because I was like, okay, I need to know actually what a holler is. And
as do our listeners. My God, thank God you brought this to the podcast.
Well, yeah, I know, because everybody really wants to know what a holler is.
I do.
Right?
I do. I mean, I think a lot of our listeners think the South is a little bit hilarious, especially our international listeners. Mm-hmm. We get a lot of funny comments about like, wow. And so I think Leslie's sitting there just waiting to hear.
Oh, and I think Kathy in Australia too is going like, what in the world is a holler? And also
our 2 international listeners.
Yeah.
Here we go, guys. Here we go.
Well, we have one in the UK as well. So thank you for listening. So basically, like what it is especially in older times, basically it's like a community of people that live in the valley between mountains. And they
Wait, the holler is the community of people?
Well, the holler is the area where the community of people live. And so everybody lives pretty close to the road. Everybody's got, wild running children and animals and, all kinds of stuff. And there's typically like a person or two who's a member of the holler that is like I'm going to go to the post office in town and go get mail for everybody and bring it back to everybody. And then there's another person who's like, hey, I'm going to the grocery store. Like, who needs what? I'm going to bring groceries back to everybody. So it's this really like communal experience.
It's a freaking commune, which is my dream. To live in a commune.
Yeah. And so like it might be that Cat and Moose and producer Sarah need to go live in the holler.
Holy cow, we do need that needs to be a whole different level of patronage.
Yeah.
Where you get to be a part of the holler.
Oh man, gosh, we would love to have you guys a part of the holler.
You know what my favorite part of the holler is when you say, hey, go down there and holler at Missy down in the holler.
Go holler at Missy down in the holler.
Missy. Yeah. And everybody's name is Missy under 12. And you're like, I don't know which Missy it is, but okay.
Right. Little Missy. And today I was walking my dogs, not in the holler, on my paved asphalt street. And as I was walking my dogs, my male dog, Corey, we had a big like kind of rainstorm yesterday, and there was a big branch in the middle of the street, and my boy dog Corey sniffed it real good when we were walking this morning, and he peed on it. Like he peed on the branch in the middle of the street. And I was like, okay, like I don't like my dogs peeing in the middle of the street. That's not cool. And then my girl dog Bell Bell, of course, had to like trump his pee. And so she peed on top of his pee. And so my baby girl was just literally peeing in the middle of the street. And I said to them, you guys might as well live in the holler. Just step on outside and go potty.
At least they're not the dogs who take a shit on the sidewalk.
Well, that's true.
Like, what is wrong with your humans when the dog is on the sidewalk and it takes a dump right there where people walk, and you're like, oh, nobody saw me, I'm good.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Well, guess what? Jesus saw you.
Amazing.
And your ass is going to be grass when you get to heaven for that reason.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, you don't let your animals or your children take a dump on the sidewalk.
And in case any of you have been following our conversations on religious trauma, Moose, that's the kind of stuff that really, can give people trauma. It's like next time my dog poops somewhere, I'm going to be like, Jesus, are you watching? Jesus, are you watching?
Seriously, you're right. I'm sorry. I just created more trauma for these people.
Oh, that's okay.
Hey guys, we have created an easy way for you to support the Cat and Moose podcast.
You can go to our website, catandmoosepodcast.com, click support us, and check out our affiliate links. We've got all kinds of affiliates, starting with Amazon,
Instacart,
Ollie,
Allbird Shoes,
Dinner Dates,
BarkBox,
Gravity,
Audible,
Skillshare,
Embark Dog DNA Testing.
So if you're going to check out some great shoes from Allbirds or some dog food through Ollie, or get a BarkBox or listen to a book on Audible, get a Gravity blanket, shop on Instacart, you get the idea, right? Give your dog a DNA test through Embark, or turn time into inspiration with Skillshare. If you want to do any of that, go ahead and help out our podcast in the meantime and do those things through our affiliate links.
Go to catandmoosepodcast.com and click on support us. Thanks.
Okay, so I talked about Corey, I talked about Belle, and as we were walking this morning, I heard a mourning dove, and
Could you give us the sound that you heard?
Maybe you can you read my mind?
Yes, I actually can. That's why we do this. So yeah, I'm a big fan of asking humans to do animal noises.
I can't believe you're saying this right now.
I'd be happy to return the favor with any animal you would like as well.
Okay, it's like you are in my brain. I literally have, can you make any animal sounds in my notes?
Okay, that's really cool. And we don't look at each other's notes.
We don't.
See?
We don't.
Well, that's why we're best friends. Or as Megan says, breast friends. I can't hear it.
Can you hear that?
That's really good. Can you do it without the windscreen?
Yeah. Well, you can hear it's the wind.
It just sounds like wind.
Woo, 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 woo. It's basically what it sounds like. Yeah, you can do it great.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Can you do any other animal sounds? I mean, you said you could.
Sure.
What? Like what?
Anything. I mean, I'm on the spot. Hit me.
Tiger. Oh, nice. Lucifer the cat.
Oh, well, I've got sounds for that. Do you want to hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's the freaking rest of the cat story. So that damn cat stalked me for the rest of the time that I was there. I'll just tell you quick. There's no other words except terrorist. And when I say that, she is psychologically terrorizing me because I woke up at one point in the middle of the night and she was standing right there staring at me like this.
Oh, that's so creepy.
And I was like, you're freaking evil. Like, so creepy. So I finally locked her out of the bedroom the last night I was there. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get a good night's sleep because she's not in here and she's not terrorizing me. So she basically just like smells fear. Like, I know she does. So I slept through the night, felt really great. And then I wake up and I actually have video of this. Sarah, can you share it with our patrons? I took video of this for the podcast because I wanted you guys to see I am not crazy and this cat is evil. And by the way, right after this happened, she threw up like a demon would 4 times. Okay, here we go. This is me laying in bed. If you're a patron, you can see this video. Everyone else will hear it. And this is the door. How does a cat make that noise on their own?
It's not real.
This is all real. Just wait. Do you hear her? Like, what is she doing besides taking an axe to the door?
It's like she's got like Lincoln logs out there, like throwing them against the door.
I mean, you can't hear all of her meowing, but it was like, and I was like, and then all of a sudden I hear like, and I go out there and there's 3 lines of spewing throw up.
Oh.
That only could be described as a demon coming out of her.
Yeah, a demonic exorcism. Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe this cat needs your help, Moose.
Nope. Not helping it. It's not going to happen. Sorry. Okay, so driving back and forth all this time, I saw something in the car that I need to talk to you about. And Sarah was with me this time. And I need you to tell me, you know Sara Lee?
Sara Lee, like the bread?
Yeah, like packaged foods and frozen foods. And okay, so do you remember what their like tagline is?
I don't. It's like, but I can see the little girl in a bonnet. Like, yeah, but no, I don't know the tagline.
So it's nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
Okay.
So tell me what that phrase again is.
Nobody does it like Sara Lee.
Yeah, you would think that makes sense, but no, that's not it. It's nobody doesn't, as in does not like Sara Lee. Explain that shit to me.
Wait, what?
Yes, nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
That's the actual phrase?
That's right.
No.
That's correct.
It's not nobody does it like Sara Lee.
Nope.
It's
That's what it
nobody
should be.
doesn't enjoy Sara Lee. It's like what it's communicating.
Well, I had to Google it because I see it on the back of a truck. Sarah, jump in here.
Okay. And yes, we both had the moment. We're just driving in silence, and I went, "Huh?" And at the same time, we went, "What?" Like, because we both saw it, and it said nobody doesn't like Sara Lee, and so then of course we looked it up, and the actual slogan is everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
I mean,
Really?
is that a double negative, or am I on crack?
I mean, this is like a branding marketing team that existed in the prehistoric ages before the Chick-fil-A marketing team. You know what I mean? Like, this is a terrible, terrible double negative marketing slogan. That's horrible.
I love to look at slogans and go and picture the marketing people in the room and go like, oh my God, they nailed it on that one. And literally on the back of a Sara Lee truck, nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. And I'm like, she doesn't what?
I mean, I feel lied to.
It is a lie. Sara Lee should be pissed.
Wait, hang on
I'm
a second.
pissed.
I think we're taking it a little far. It's like calling the cat a demon. I think it really is calling out for help. So let's talk about this phrase. I don't think it's as drastic as you're saying. It's basically saying nobody does not like Sara Lee. Like, how is that being lied to?
Because our whole life we've thought it was nobody does it like Sara Lee.
Well, guess what? That's what it should be, because Sara Lee is probably awesome. But instead, nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
They're two different meanings.
Yeah, because nobody does it. That means she's a badass and she's out there baking some goods, man. But nobody doesn't like her. It's a double negative.
It's a double negative.
It is a double negative, but this is where it's like, I just have to disagree with you. Like, that's also positive. Like, a double negative equals a positive, right?
Their full slogan was, everybody doesn't like something. Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes...
in how many years? I need to Google. Hold on. How many years has Sara Lee existed? And nobody thought, we should probably change this slogan.
Well, the thing is that I think that, like, you're really, really overlaying your perspective on this, as opposed to, like, let's call up old Sara Lee's marketing people and see what they think.
1939 from the Netherlands.
Hold on. It
They're
feels
dead.
like extra work. It's like saying, we don't have no extra chairs. Like, that's too much thought. You have to do math.
We don't. Listen, that might be how they say it in the Holler.
We don't have no extra chairs in the Holler.
We ain't got no extra chairs in the Holler.
We ain't got no white chocolate ganache lemon glazed pound cake down here in the Holler.
Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Let's try to... I want to overlay that. Nobody doesn't like the Cat and Moose podcast.
That's right.
That's freaking right.
Yeah.
That is freaking right. Okay. So this is what they should have done with the person who wrote that slogan. This is on Inside History. If you don't follow them on Instagram, follow them. A drunken man placed in a basket and carried away in Istanbul in 1960. It shows a very short man he's got a basket on his back. We will post this. If you're a Patreon, you can see it. Basket men were hired, and their sole purpose was to take patrons home when they were too drunk to stand up.
That's amazing. It's like an old time taxi cab. That's amazing.
I know. That little guy is having to carry that guy who's just like screaming.
And who knew that would be Uber in 2021?
I know. Oh, God help us.
The origins of Uber. Okay, so one of our listeners did one of the most sweet and thoughtful things for me this week. And I got a message from him, and it was a text message. And he said, "Hey, do you get Vanity Fair magazine?" And I was like, okay, this is a trick question, right? Like,
well, no, it's just a yes or no.
well, I know, but I mean, it's like what a bizarre question to ask me, like kind of in the middle of the week. And so I said, no, Chris, I don't get Vanity Fair. And he said, okay. He goes, well, I'm going to send you an article that I really think that you'll appreciate. And I was like, oh, cool.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Chris sends me this article, and interestingly enough, the person who delivers the mail in my neighborhood consistently, probably about twice a week, delivers my mail to my next door neighbor. And
over in the Holler?
Over in the Holler. Yeah. Down in the Holler.
Down in the Holler.
Yeah. And my next door neighbor, that house is vacant now because they no longer live there. So sometimes it will be like days and days and days before I realize, like, wait a minute, my mail has been delivered anyway. So
do you go in their mailbox? Because that's illegal.
Well, I know it's illegal. And the reason here's what I did. I didn't actually do the illegal thing. I was walking my dogs and I thought, I've been waiting for a couple of things in the mail, including this article from our friend Chris. So I'm going to just glance into their mailbox and see if I see anything with my name on it. And sure enough.
Wait. Don't you have to open it?
No, it's already open because it's kind of like condemned, defunct. Like
it's a squat house?
Wow. No, the mailbox is broken and the door is not on the mailbox. So I bent over and I looked and I said, wait, that does say my name. So then, yes, I illegally reached into their mailbox and got what was on my mail, including this magazine article from our friend Chris. And the magazine article was about this house in the Los Angeles area called the Stoll House. And these people, this couple that got married in Las Vegas, decided to go on up on this place in LA called Pecker Point. And it was called Pecker Point because it was a place where people often were known to go up there and make out, because it was this beautiful kind of almost cliff-like thing overlooking a large part of Los Angeles. Really, really beautiful. And so
I thought maybe there were a lot of woodpeckers there.
Well, same difference, I guess.
Okay, got it.
Can you make that noise? I wonder if the people at Pecker Point can identify with that.
Oh, maybe it's more like, oh,
it's horrible. Anyway, so they went up to this place and ended up making an offer on this piece of land back in the 1950s for $13,500 for an eighth of an acre of this piece of land that overlooks a broad majority of Los Angeles. Like, it's gorgeous. Okay. And this house has been used in photo shoots. It's been called, all kinds of really amazing, fancy stuff in different, Architecture Digest and things like that. And so what Chris's note said to me, he had like torn the article out of the magazine and folded it up like you would fold up a letter. And he had a little sticky note on it. And he said something along well, let me actually read it because I've got it sitting right here. He said, Kat, this article was just delightful. I know you will recognize the house right away. I did. Hope you enjoy. With love, Chris. And I looked at the house and I immediately was like, oh my God, that's the house where Wilson Phillips filmed their Release Me video.
Whoa, wait a minute. I was thinking it was the China Phillips article.
No, there was nothing about China in here. I mean, they got a quote from Carney about how beautiful the house was.
Whoa.
So he sent me this article and I knew, like, the moment I mean, can you see that photo? It's like you see that Release Me video. And Sarah, I would love a little clip of that song here because it's so epic. But this is the Release Me house. And I thought it was so thoughtful of Chris to see that and to think of me and to actually put a physical article into an actual envelope and send it to me. Like, was that the most thoughtful thing?
It is very thoughtful. Hold on, I have to show you something.
Wait, what's that?
An article from our listener, Chris, on Wendy Williams, who, anyone who follows her, I think she is a delight and also completely wrong. But I am actually just reading this article he mailed me as well.
And
I have to say,
cool.
How freaking cool that one subscription to a magazine can bring so much joy to so many people, because this one is out of the New Yorker.
Oh, wow.
And I just have to say, Chris, you're a very well-read human. And I just have started reading this article that you sent me on Wendy Williams. So thank you for that.
That is so cool. And there's something about like the tactile experience of like getting a letter in the mail and having a handwritten note and it being something that, you know, like Chris knows me well enough to know that like Wilson Phillips is such a big part of kind of the footprint of my being where I am in life today, you know, because of their music. And like reading that article, connecting the dots to think of me and then to tear it out, put it in an envelope, send it to a physical address with a stamp. Like, who does that anymore? And I texted him after I read the article and I said, man, I just really want to thank you. And this ties back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast. It is so lovely to feel known, isn't it?
Yeah. And for someone to take the time to actually put that, like you said, in an envelope and send it over. Speaking of, I was thinking, you know, we've gotten away from interviewing some people because we were waiting for the right people to pop into our brains. We 100% need to interview Carney.
Oh, yeah.
Because for both of us, she was such a freaking, you know, part of our formative childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And that entire first record, like you can ask my sister, she hated it just like I hate Phil Collins because I played it all the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, I follow her on Instagram and she's constantly baking and she's just a freaking authentic delight.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think we ought to do, if we're going to kick up the interview idea again, I think we should interview all three members of Wilson Phillips separately.
Separately.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Separately, because China is quite a character. You know, she's got her California Preachin', and then Carney's got her Love Bites by Carney. And then Wendy's relatively quiet on social media, but I think that's because, if I'm not mistaken, I think she has twins. So she's like in like big time, like raising a family mode, I assume. I don't know. But the last time I saw them in concert, they were here in Nashville, probably 6 or 7 years ago. And I remember them getting my opinion on which cover song they should sing. And I remember feeling like this is like the moment of my life where like Wilson Phillips is texting me, asking my opinion on their set list. You know, like that's like a dream for me. And I remember thinking after that show that I wanted to say to Wendy, like, you are the special sauce. Like, you carry those really distinct harmonies that like the average person isn't aware how important they are. It's kind of like Ann Wilson in the band Heart, you know. Mm-hmm. It's like such an understated member of that group that really their sound would just not be what it is without her.
Yeah. I just want Carney to send us some love bites.
I would love it.
Okay, seriously, you need to get working on that.
Okay.
You need to. Are you going to go through China? Because that means she's going to invite us on. Ask her to invite us on the Jesus Take the Wheel or whatever the name of her.
Yeah,
YouTube
her California
is.
Preaching. Yeah, for sure.
Because I want to talk to her about the way she talked to her gay assistant.
Yeah. I know.
We need to have a little chat about that.
Yeah, I think she's already agreed to do an interview with us. So yes, we can make that happen.
Okay, sweet. Wilson Phillips is coming to the Cat and Moose podcast.
Special thanks to our producer, Sarah Reed.
To find out more, go to catandmoosepodcast.com. Cat and Moose is a BP production.